Hi, this is Lee Solden. I'm going to invite you to learn Afrikaans with me. I've been looking at Afrikaans a lot as part of my study of Dutch. Um, Afrikaans is either a very similar language to Dutch or Dutch, the dialect of Dutch. I don't know, it's your opinion, whatever. But so anyway, I'm going to give you an audiobook that I want you to start listening to passively, and I'll attach that to the description of this video. And that's all you need to do right now is begin listening to it passively. This means you got it playing like while you're eating your meals, while you're reading a book, while you're studying. Set it to go off 20 minutes after you get in bed so you can fall asleep to it. You like music, whatever your favorite music is, it does not have to be in Afrikaans or Dutch. It could be any music, any TV program, any Netflix program. Have the Dutch playing at a low volume, not Dutch, sorry, Afrikaans playing at a low volume, so your ear just is getting used to it. Also, just let you know, I already have a guy, my language partner, and other guy on this channel / Stepover made a video in Dutch and the what you call Flemish. In other words, is there such thing as Flemish? I don't know, but he's from Belgium, so it's a different accent. You could just learn that and then come back and pick up this Afrikaans. I'm also going to start a playlist for more standard, they call standard Dutch, which is from Dutch spoken from the Netherlands. So you can wait for me to put that up. I'll learn some Dutch first, then learn the Afrikaans, whatever. I'm just letting you know that I'll be doing all that. But assuming you want to learn Afrikaans specifically, hey, start listening to a lot of Afrikaans. Okay. Now, if you want to keep listening to me here, I'm going to tell you future steps. Okay, how my program goes from there. You're never going to stop listening to Afrikaans passively. It is going to support both the second and third steps. The second step is to start doing ear tuning exercises. I haven't written the ear tuning syllables yet for Afrikaans, but I will. I'm not going to have any trouble doing it. I've already been working with Afrikaans for a while. I can hear it quite well. So I'm going to write some ear tuning syllables. You're going to start doing ear tuning exercises. This means that you're going to use your eyes to follow my ear tuning syllables as you're listening to the audiobook. And you're going to attempt to keep your eye on the right ear tuning syllable each time that syllable is spoken from the audiobook. Now, this is not actually possible for you to do because your ear is not tuned to Dutch. Excuse me, Afrikaans. Okay. If it was tuned into Dutch, it would work. You'd be able to follow them. They're plenty close enough. Anyway, your ear's not tuned into Afrikaans. So you can't actually do what you're trying to do, but just 2-3 hours, 4 at the most. I'm talking about 1 hour a day times 2 to 4 days, and you will all of a sudden get locked into that voice on the audiobook and will be able to follow the ear tuning syllables with your eyes as they're being spoken. At which time, guess what? You still keep doing the ear tuning exercise. You're not done yet. You've locked into the basic syllable pattern of Afrikaans. You don't have a native ear for it yet, and you want to get close to as native ear as possible because that what allows you to soak up the language very quickly by step 3. Now, at step 2, doing ear tuning exercises, let's go the nuts bolts details really quick there. You're going to 10 times you'll read this 30 seconds worth of ear tuning syllables. Or when I say read them, I mean you're going to be following them with your eyes while listening to the audiobook. Then you close your eyes and listen to the same 30 seconds 10 times carefully. Then that's step 1 and 2. Then you repeat steps 1 and 2 more times. So altogether, you're listening to the 30 seconds of Afrikaans 30 times, half the time with your eyes open, following the ear tuning syllables, half the time with your eyes closed, just listening carefully. And you do that twice a day for a total, it should take you around an hour a day to do that. In between, you're doing that passive listening. The combination of all that passive listening, doing these ear tuning exercises, very short order, your ear is going to be locked into Dutch where you're hearing it clearly as spoken words without a lot of slurring in between. And then you keep doing them. You keep doing the exercises, the ear tuning exercises. You keep doing the passive listening. You can start lowering the amount that you do over time to where very little eventually, but you never completely stop doing the ear tuning exercises. Of course, you never stop the passive listening. Passive listening now is going to also help you with the third part of my program, which is absorbing the language without studying it. This I call read-throughs. And how does this work? You use your speech center. Like any child learns their own native language. It's done by the speech center. They don't go study their language. They hear it, and as they hear it, they get visual cues, or maybe it could be smells, any information associated with when that word is spoken. The speech center takes it all in, figures out what the word means I mean, after the speech center has heard it a few times, figures it out. Okay. But there's another thing the speech center looks at: known words. Child already knows 70 words, and the 71st one gets introduced. Well, it may be in terms of the other 70. There may not be any visual cues. It's just within the other 70. Okay, so what you're going to do, you already know a language. You're going to associate, well, in this particular course, you're going to associate English words to the Afrikaans words just before they're spoken, and you're going to let your speech center do the rest. This is not studying. You're just looking at the definitions for the Afrikaans sentence long enough to understand one sentence. Then you listen to that sentence a few times while reading it, and then you close your eyes and listen a few times carefully to see how you understand it. Okay? Now, that might sound, wait, didn't the step 2, wasn't that the same thing? Sound like it. I mean, 3 times reading, 3 times eyes closed while listening to the audiobook. Kind of sounds like it, but it's completely the opposite. In the step 2, the ear tuning exercises, you are paying strictly and only attention to what sounds are coming out of the mouth of the speaker from the audiobook and matching that with the sound represented by the ear tuning syllable, which is written in English letters, a representation of that sound. And you're trying to match them. And all you're worried about is what the sounds are. Whereas in step 3, the read-throughs, you're not concentrating on sounds here. You're concentrating on what can you understand what it means. You're looking at the definitions of the words, and then listening for understanding. Okay. Now this step 3 again is not studying. I'll get very very specific here. I'm going to give you a bunch of notes, sentence by sentence, of what something means. You look over my notes, which will be in, they'll be in verbal form. I'll do videos on that, and also you'll have notes to read in the pinned comments to the videos. Okay, so you can look over the notes for one sentence. The first sentence in a story. All the words are connected within a sentence. The sentence is connected within the story. So you're learning things all in context, right? But when you do the first step of the read-throughs, this is not where you're learning it. You're just introducing your speech center to what the sentence means and letting your speech center do the rest by listening to the Dutch, listening to the Afrikaans 3 times while reading it. Close your eyes, listen to it 3 more times. That's what the speech center is good at. Hearing spoken language, connecting it with meaning. Okay? It's not studying. Why? Because you're only looking at the sentence long enough to understand it for the next 10 seconds so you can play the Afrikaans a few times. Your speech center is a language supercomputer. You're feeding it data. When you finish the 6th time listening with your eyes closed, you may not understand the Afrikaans being spoken. I mean, you've looked at the notes, but you go like, I didn't really understand them. Is this working? You're not supposed to understand it. This is a new language to you. You're just feeding data to your speech center. You kind of attempted to understand it, or were kind of paying attention to how well you understood it. Your speech center is going to put it together for you overnight. Next day, you're going to know more Afrikaans. You just keep feeding the data by these read-through exercises every day. You know more and more Afrikaans. And it accelerates because as you know more and more words of Afrikaans, Speech Center loves that, loves known words. As you now continue to add new words, the new words are in terms of known words. You'll pick it up even faster. And meanwhile, your ear keeps getting better because you keep doing the ear tuning exercises on top of that. This is the step 2, going toward a native ear for Afrikaans. Okay, now there's a little more to it than that. Back to that passive listening. You never stop the passive listening. Passive listening, that's the same story you're learning, right? So you're doing the read-throughs to expose your speech center to the definitions for the words directly. And on top of that, the speech center is listening to that passive listening. You're not paying attention to it, but your speech center, which is a language supercomputer and thinks 20 times faster than you do, it's picking it up. It's hearing the story over and over again, getting data from it. So you're feeding data into your speech center 2 ways. 1, the passive listening, and 2, by the read-throughs, which is directly telling the speech center what something means. Okay. How's that parallel with a kid does? Well, hey, kid's born in South Africa in a home that's speaking Afrikaans, can be surrounded by it, right? And okay, there's the passive listening part. People are going to keep saying the same things over and over to the child, like repeated phrases, which is all my ear tuning exercises are, so that the kid's ear is going to tune in very well to the language, never stop tuning in. That's what they call it. They say they have a native ear because they keep having the language is always surrounding them, and they keep hearing these same repeated phrases over and over again. Daddy's home, daddy's home, daddy's home. Here's your bottle, here's your bottle, here's your bottle, here's your bottle. What a pretty baby, what a pretty baby, what a pretty baby. How are you? How are you? How are you? All kinds of repeated phrases. Most of the language around a household, especially, like 500 words, is going to cover everything spoken, like I don't know, 95%, 99% of the time. It's the same 500 words, right? So the kid's being spoken to, the kid's surrounded by those same words. So there's the passive listening. There's the repeated phrases for the ear to tune in. And there's that passive listening to help the child absorb the language. The child's being talked to a lot of times in terms of known words, of some new words in there. Same time, those new words are being spoken all around the child. Now, my system doesn't take a lot of chances because you're listening to the very story all the time you're trying to learn. Okay, It's a very, very quick way to learn. Again, there is no studying involved here. If you're new at all this, I'm going to tell you this. Number one thing that'll make you learn Afrikaans the fastest is the amount of ear tuning exercises you're doing, combined with how much passive listening you're doing. You might think, well, wait a second, wouldn't the read-throughs be more important because that's where you're actually soaking the language up? No, it's not. No, not for a beginning student. For a beginning student, what's important is you go toward a native ear for it, because that makes the passive listening way more effective. Because when you hear it perfectly, it's just your speech center loves that. It loves to hear things perfectly, and the read throughs where you keep hearing this stuff repeated to you. Speech center loves it when it can hear it perfectly. The rate at which you pick it up accelerates and just accelerates a whole lot faster if you continue doing your ear tuning exercises. So you get student A, student B, the one who decides, oh, my ear's good enough, it'll get better if I just do a lot of read throughs, will completely be outpaced by the student who is doing the ear tuning exercises, which don't take that much time. In the long run, you're doing a whole lot more read throughs, but initially, you got to put the time into the ear tuning exercises, which make the passive listening and the read throughs actually work. So don't skip on your ear tuning exercises. Okay, so that's about it. So back to instruction number 1, start listening to Afrikaans a few hours a day if you possibly can. At least half of that to this video, which I'll post the link in the description of this video. Again, this is Lee Solden. Please like, subscribe to the channel, explore the channel. I keep adding more stuff. Comment and tell me what you might like to have on this channel. For instance, I'm trying to teach many languages in many languages. So I'm teaching this in English today. I mean, maybe I'll be teaching it in French in a few weeks, or Spanish, or German. Eventually, I want to speak it. I want to teach Afrikaans in many languages. Tell me what language you'd like to hear it taught in. Okay. Good day, everybody. Bye-bye.